Welcome, dear friend, to Sleep Documentary TV. I am so pleased you are here. Your journey today is complete. The hours of work, the moments of rush, the endless lists, all of it is done. And now, this time is for you. Time to let the world outside gently fade away, to feel the weight of the day lift from your shoulders, and to allow your mind to drift into a place of quiet tranquility and deep, restorative sleep. Find your comfortable place now. Let the current of my voice guide you back through the centuries, to a world lit only by firelight and the moon. We arrive in the heart of Europe, in the middle of the 15th century. The air here is different. It smells of wood smoke, damp earth, and the sweet scent of hay from the stables that dot the town. The sounds are softer, more distinct. The clatter of horses' hooves on cobblestone streets, the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the murmur of voices in a tongue that is both foreign and familiar. This is a world without the hum of electricity, without the rush of engines. It is a world of deliberate, unhurried rhythm. In this time, knowledge is a rare and precious treasure, as tangible as gold, and guarded just as closely. Books are not the companions we know today, readily available on shelves or at the click of a button. Here, each book is a masterpiece, a work of art born from immeasurable patience and devotion. They are created in quiet, hallowed rooms within monasteries called scriptoriums. Imagine a monk, a scribe, hunched over a tall, angled desk. For months, even years, he will labor over a single volume. By the faint light of a window, or the flickering flame of a candle, he carefully copies each letter, each word, from an older text onto a fresh sheet of parchment made from treated animal skin. His tools are simple: a quill pen, meticulously sharpened, an ink that he has made himself from soot, oak galls, and wine. The work is painstaking. One slip of the hand, one moment of lost concentration, and the page could be ruined. A single book, like the Holy Bible, could take a scribe more than a year to complete. Because of this immense effort, books are incredibly expensive and exceedingly rare. They are owned by kings, by wealthy nobles, and by the church. For the common person, the vast universe of ideas, stories, and sacred texts is something heard, not read. It exists only in the sermons of a village priest or the tales of a traveling bard. Knowledge is a privilege, a locked garden whose gates are open only to a select few. It is into this world that our dreamer is born, in the bustling city of Mainz, Germany, around the year 1400. His name is Johannes Gutenberg. He is the son of a prosperous merchant, part of the city's upper class, and from a young age, he is surrounded by craftsmanship. His father is associated with the city's mint, and Johannes himself is trained in the intricate arts of the goldsmith and gem cutter. He learns the secrets of metal, how it can be melted, molded, and polished to a brilliant shine. He understands pressure, precision, and the delicate dance of turning raw materials into objects of beauty and value. But Johannes is more than just a craftsman. He possesses a quiet, contemplative soul and a deep, abiding reverence for books. He has been fortunate enough to have seen them, to have held their heavy, leather-bound covers in his hands, He has marveled at the scriptoriums, watching the scribes at their holy work. He sees not just words on a page, but devotion made manifest. The elegant, flowing script, the vibrant, illuminated letters decorated with gold leaf and crushed jewels to him. Each manuscript is a testament to human patience and a vessel of divine wisdom. Yet, as he admires their beauty, a quiet disquiet stirs within him. He sees the immense labor, the sheer amount of a man's life poured into a single copy. And he sees how this preciousness makes knowledge exclusive. The Word of God, the stories of heroes, the discoveries of philosophers, they are trapped, held captive within the walls of monasteries and the libraries of the rich. A dream begins to form in his mind, a gentle, persistent whisper. What if there was another way, a way to create books, not just for the few, but for the many? A way to make knowledge flow like a river, accessible to anyone who thirsted for it. It is a dream that seems impossible, a fantasy against the solid, unchangeable reality of his world. Now, for the inciting spark, the simple, fictionalized moment that turns this vague dream into a driving purpose. One crisp autumn afternoon, Johannes, now a young man, finds himself in the library of a local monastery, a place he is privileged to visit due to his family's standing. He is there to consult a text on metallurgy, but his attention is drawn to an elderly monk, Brother Paulus, who is hunched over a large, ancient-looking Bible. The monk's face, etched with the fine lines of a long life devoted to study, is clouded with a deep and weary frustration. His finger traces a line of Latin script, and he lets out a soft, mournful sigh. Johannes, ever observant and respectful, approaches quietly. "Is everything all right, Brother Paulus?" he asks in a low voice. The old monk looks up, his eyes clouded with disappointment. He points a trembling finger at a single word in the middle of the beautifully rendered page. "For 20 years, he says, his voice barely a whisper, "I've been reading this passage, meditating on its meaning. This very copy was made by my own teacher, Brother Thomas, a master scribe. It took him 2 years, a work of perfect devotion." He pauses, gathering himself. "But today," he continues, "I was consulting a much older fragment, one brought from Rome, and I discovered this." He points to the word again. A single, tiny error. The word should be caritas, charity. What? Love. But here, it is claritas, clarity, brightness. A simple slip of a quill, a momentary lapse of the eye, perhaps at the end of a long day. But it changes the meaning. You see, it alters the very essence of the verse. Johannes looks from the monk's pained face to the elegant, flawed script. He understands. An error, set in ink and parchment, is almost impossible to correct without marring the entire page. And this tiny mistake, born of human frailty, has been preserved and studied as truth for decades. Brother Paulus sighs again, a sound of profound resignation. So much work, so much time, all to capture the Word of God perfectly. And yet, we are imperfect. Our hands tremble, our eyes fail. And with each new copy made from this one, the error will be repeated, carried forward, a tiny crack in the foundation of our understanding. He closes the great book, the sound of a heavy cover echoing softly in the quiet library. If only, he murmurs to himself, there was a way to make a perfect copy. True copy. And then another, and another. All of them identical. All of them flawless. A book born not from a trembling hand, but from something certain. Something true. Johannes stands motionless, the monk's words echoing in his own soul. He looks at his own hands, the hands of a goldsmith, strong and steady. Hands that know the certainty of metal, the precision of a mold. He thinks of the coin punches at his father's mend, each one striking a perfect, identical image, time and time again. A book born not from a trembling hand, but from something certain. In that moment, in the quiet, dust-smoted light of the monastery library, the vague whisper of his dream becomes a clear, resounding call. It is no longer just about making books plentiful or affordable. It is about perfection. It is about certainty. It is about creating a method as flawless and repeatable as the striking of a golden coin. He envisions individual letters, perfectly cast in metal, each one a tiny, sharp-edged jewel of certainty. Letters that could be arranged and rearranged, their message fixed and true. Letters that could be pressed to paper, leaving an impression that was always the same, always perfect. The image of Brother Paulus's sad, resigned face, the quiet tragedy of that single, flawed word, becomes the ember that ignites the fire of his obsession. Johannes Gutenberg, the goldsmith who loves books, now has his quest. He will find a way to give the world a perfect copy. He will find a way to mechanize the sacred. He will build a machine to multiply the truth. He does not know the long, arduous path that lies before him, the years of struggle, doubt, and near ruin. He only knows that in the heart of that quiet monastery, a seed has been planted, and he will spend the rest of his life nurturing it into a forest that will change the world forever. The quiet tinkerer now has a purpose that will echo through the ages. As you continue to float in this peaceful state, let your mind drift with Johannes. Leave the quiet monastery behind and follow him into a new chapter of his life. A chapter of quiet obsession and tireless refinement. The spark ignited in that library did not burst into an immediate flame. It smoldered, a persistent, glowing ember in the back of his mind. Years passed and political unrest in Mainz forces Gutenberg's family into exile, and he settles in the town of Strasbourg, France. It is here, away from the familiar rhythms of his hometown, that the ember of his idea begins to truly catch fire. He is a craftsman, no, a metallurgist, and his mind naturally turns to the tools and materials he knows so well. The nights in Strasbourg are long and quiet. While the town sleeps under a blanket of stars, a single candle often remains lit in Johannes' small workshop. This is where his dream begins to take shape, moving from the realm of abstract desire into the world of tangible design. The air in his workshop is cool, filled with the scent of beeswax from his candles and the faint, metallic tang of his work. The only sounds are the soft scratch of charcoal on parchment and the gentle crackle of the hearth. He fills countless pages with sketches, with calculations, with ideas both brilliant and impossible. He is not merely thinking of a machine, He is trying to solve a puzzle of immense complexity, a puzzle with 100 interlocking pieces. The central piece, he knows, is the type, the individual letters. Before him, others had experimented with a form of printing using entire pages carved from blocks of wood. But this method was slow and inflexible. A new block had to be painstakingly carved for each and every page. Johannes's vision is far more revolutionary, movable type. Individual letters that could be arranged to form any word, any sentence, and then reused to create entirely new pages. His training as a goldsmith is his guide. He knows metals. He spends weeks, then months, experimenting with different alloys. He needs a metal that will melt at a low temperature, making it easy to cast off, but that will also be hard enough to withstand the immense pressure of a press time and time again. He tries pure lead, but it is too soft, the letters deforming after only a few impressions. He tries tin, but it is too brittle. Night after night, he melts and mixes, pouring the molten liquid into small, hand-carved molds. He is searching for the perfect recipe, the perfect balance of lead, tin, and another metal, antimony, which he discovers helps the alloy to cool quickly and create a durable, sharp-edged type. His notebooks from this time are a testament to his patience, methodical mind. There are sketches of the letters themselves, drawn with the practiced eye of a man who appreciates calligraphy. He understands that for his books to be accepted, they must be as beautiful as the manuscripts they will replace. The typeface must be elegant, familiar, a perfect echo of the scribe's hand. Then there is the press itself. His mind turns to the agricultural screw presses used for centuries in the Rhineland to make wine and olive oil. He has seen them his whole life, great, sturdy wooden machines that use the power of a large screw to exert immense, even pressure. He fills pages with drawings, adapting the design. He imagines a flat bed where the type could be laid, a mechanism to slide the paper into place, and that great, slow-turning screw to bring the two together with perfect, uniform force. But this quiet obsession does not exist in a vacuum. The world outside his workshop is one of practicality, of commerce, of skepticism. His work requires money, and a great deal of it. He is no longer a wealthy merchant's son. His family's exile and his own ventures have left him in a precarious financial state. He must seek out investors, partners who can share his vision. Imagine him now, standing before a stern-faced merchant, his sketches laid out on a polished table. Johannes speaks with a quiet, burning passion, his hands shaping the air as he describes letters cast from metal, a press that can do the work of a dozen scribes in a single day. The merchant listens, his brow furrowed. He sees only risk. Metal letters, the merchant scoffs, tapping a finger on a drawing. They will be clumsy, the impression uneven. And the wine press, for making books, the idea is madness. Gutenberg. People value the work of a scribe, the human touch. They will not buy these mechanical monstrosities. Another potential partner, a guild master, shakes his head. The Scribes Guild would never stand for it. You seek to replace man with a machine. It is not only foolish, it is dangerous. Leave the making of books to the monasteries, where it belongs. These encounters are like small, chipping blows against the stone of his resolve. Doubt, a cold and creeping shadow, whispers to him in the late hours of the night. Is it madness? Is he chasing a phantom? Pouring his time and his borrowed money into a fool's dream, he faces immense financial strain, falling deeper into debt. One failed business venture, an attempt to sell small, polished mirrors to religious pilgrims, leaves him nearly bankrupt. His investors demanding their money back. He is forced to promise them a share in his secret new project, the printing press, just to hold them at bay. These are the years of patient struggle, the long, quiet winter of his invention. The world sees a failed businessman, a tinkerer lost in impossible schemes. They do not see the fierce, unwavering light of the vision he holds within him. They do not see the slow, methodical progress happening behind the closed doors of his workshop. But there are small breakthroughs, quiet moments of discovery that fuel his determination and push the darkness of doubt away. One evening, as he struggles to create a mold that will cast each letter with perfect uniformity, he has a key insight. He realizes he can make a single, master letter punch from hard metal and use that to stamp an impression into a softer metal, like copper. This copper impression, the matrix, becomes the mold, allowing him to cast hundreds of identical letters, each a perfect replica of the last. It is a moment of pure genius, a fusion of his skills in metallurgy and his singular vision. He holds two tiny metal letters AI in his palm, and they are not just similar, they are perfect twins. In that moment, he knows he is on the right path. Another breakthrough comes with the ink. The water-based inks used by the scribes are too thin, they run and blot on the metal type. He needs an ink with body, one that is thick and sticky enough to adhere to the metal and transfer cleanly to paper. He experiments for months, mixing soot with linseed oil and other binding agents, boiling and refining the concoction until he creates a rich, dark, oil-based ink with the perfect consistency. When he finally presses a single, inked letter onto a scrap of paper, the impression is crisp, black, and beautiful. It is another small victory, another piece of the great puzzle falling into place. These small triumphs are his sustenance. They are the quiet affirmations that his vision is not madness, that his struggle is not in vain. He learns that the journey to a great invention is not a single, blinding flash of inspiration. It is a slow and patient pilgrimage, 1,000 small steps taken in the dark, guided only by the faint light of an unwavering belief. He learns to live with the skepticism, to weather the financial storms, to find solace not in the praise of others, but in the quiet satisfaction of solving the next problem, of refining the next sketch, of perfecting the next small component of his grand design. And so, through these long years in Strasbourg, the idea that was once a fragile dream becomes a robust and detailed blueprint. The press, the type, the ink, all the core elements have been conceived, tested on a small scale, and revealed through endless trial and error. Oh, the obsession has borne fruit, at least on paper. The design is ready. But a design is not a machine. A blueprint is not a revolution. To take the next step, to move his dream from the pages of his notebooks into the three-dimensional world of wood and iron and steel, He knows he must leave his exile behind. He must return home to Mainz, to the city of his birth, and find the resources to build the machine that will finally give a voice to his silent, paper-bound dream. Drift now, gently, from the quiet solitude of the Strasbourg workshop to the bustling, purposeful energy of a new beginning. Johannes Gutenberg has returned to his hometown of Mainz around the year 1448. The blueprints that filled his notebooks are no longer enough. The time for sketching is over. The time for building has begun. His return is not triumphant. He is a man in his late 40s, with a history of debt and a reputation as a dreamer of expensive dreams. But his conviction is stronger than ever. To bring his grand vision to life, he needs two things he has always struggled to find: a proper workshop and a significant amount of money. Providence arrives in the form of a wealthy local moneylender and businessman named Johann Fust. Fust is a pragmatist, a man of commerce, but he sees something in Gutenberg's intense, quiet passion. He sees the glimmer of a revolutionary opportunity. After much persuasion, Fust agrees to loan Gutenberg the enormous sum of 800 guilders, a fortune at the time, to set up a workshop and begin the project of the books. With this crucial backing, Gutenberg establishes his workshop in a property known as the Humbrechthof. The dream has found a home. Now, a team begins to gather. A dream of this magnitude cannot be built by one man alone. Gutenberg seeks out the finest craftsmen he can find. He also brings in a young, skilled apprentice, a man who had worked as a calligrapher in Paris. His name is Peter Schoeffer. Schoeffer is brilliant, meticulous, and possesses the artistic eye of a scribe. He understands the beauty of the written word that Gutenberg is trying to replicate, and he will become an indispensable part of the enterprise. Let your mind settle now inside this workshop. Let the sensory details of this place of creation wash over you. A slow, calming symphony of making. The workshop is a large, cavernous space with high, timbered ceilings. Dust motes dance in the shafts of sunlight that slant down from the high windows, illuminating a scene of focused, rhythmic activity. The air is thick with a unique and wonderful blend of smells: the sharp, clean scent of freshly sawn oak for the body of the press, the acrid smoke of the coal-fired forge where the metal is heated, the rich, oily fragrance of the linseed ink being mixed in a large vat, and the ever-present, earthy smell of damp clay used for making molds. This is not a place of frantic noise, but of purposeful sound. Listen to the music of its creation. There is a steady, rhythmic tap, tap, tap of a craftsman's hammer as he delicately shapes a piece of brass. There is the low, powerful whoosh of the bellows as it breathes life into the forge, making the coals glow with a fierce, orange heat. In another corner, you can hear the gentle, rasping whisper of a saw moving through a thick beam of oak, the sawdust falling like soft, pale snow onto the stone floor. And underlying it all is the constant, soft, metallic clink as newly cast pieces of type are broken from their molds and dropped into wooden trays. Gutenberg moves through this space like a conductor guiding his orchestra. His focus is absolute. He spends days with the metallurgist at the forge, his face illuminated by the glow of the molten alloy. He personally oversees the mixing of lead, tin, and antimony, his trained eye watching for the precise moment when the silvery liquid is at the perfect temperature for casting. He has designed a handheld mold, a marvel of ingenuity, that allows his workers to cast individual letters with incredible speed and precision. You can see a young apprentice pouring the shimmering liquid metal into the mold, a puff of steam rising as it cools almost instantly. He breaks it open, and the perfect, tiny letter A falls out, still warm to the touch. It is a miracle of replication, happening hundreds, then thousands of times a day. And now, turn your attention to the heart of the workshop, where the great press itself is taking shape. It is a magnificent structure of wood and iron, based on the design of a wine press, but adapted with Gutenberg's unique genius. The main frame is built from massive beams of solid oak, chosen for its strength and resilience. The wood is cool and smooth to the touch, its grain a beautiful, flowing map of a tree's long life. The great central screw, also of wood, is as thick as a man's chest, its threads carved with mathematical perfection. It is this screw that will provide the immense, steady pressure needed for a clean and even print. Gutenberg works alongside the woodworkers and blacksmith, his hands running over every joint, every surface. He is a man obsessed with the details. The platen, the flat plate that will press the paper against the type, must be perfectly level. The bed of the press, where the frame of type will rest, must slide in and out with a smooth, fluid motion. Every component must work in perfect harmony. The sounds of mallets striking wooden pegs, of iron fittings being hammered into place, echo through the hall. It is the sound of an idea becoming a reality, blow by blow. And then there's the type itself. In one area of the workshop, under the steadiest light, sits Peter Scheffer. He is not a metal worker, but an artist. He has taken on the vital role of designing the typeface. He has studied the most beautiful manuscripts, the elegant Gothic script used by the best scribes. With charcoal and parchment, he designs each letter, each punctuation mark, each ligature, ensuring that the final printed page will not feel like a crude, mechanical reproduction, but like a true work of art. His drawings are translated by Gutenberg into the metal punches that will form the molds. It is here that art and technology meet, a perfect marriage of the scribe's aesthetic and the goldsmith's precision. As the weeks turn into months, the workshop becomes a living, breathing entity. Trays upon trays of newly cast type are stacked in neat rows, a vast library of individual letters waiting to be given voice. There are over 290 different characters, including uppercase and lowercase letters, punctuation, and special symbols, all designed by Scheffer to mimic the fluid grace of handwriting. The great press stands finished in the center of the room, a silent, powerful giant of oak and iron. The vats of thick, black ink wait nearby, their surface gleaming in the dim light. Piles of handmade paper, soft in fibers, are stacked high, ready for the first impression. This is the long, patient process of creation. It is not a single event, but 1,000 small, deliberate acts of making. It is the careful selection of a piece of wood, the precise measurement for a cut, the perfect heating of a metal alloy, the artful curve of a letter. For Gutenberg and his team, these are not days of labor, but days of devotion. They are midwives to a new era, and they feel the weight and the wonder of their tasks in every piece of wood they shape and every piece of metal they cast. They are building more than a machine, they are building a vessel for ideas, a conduit for knowledge that will flow out of this workshop and into the world. The symphony of making is reaching its crescendo, and the moment of the first true test is drawing near. Stay in this place of deep calm, and let the focused energy of the workshop slowly transform into a quiet, electric anticipation. The years of dreaming in solitude, the long struggle for funding, the months of methodical construction, all of it has led to this single moment. The great machine is silent. The team is assembled. The time has come to see if the dream will take flight. It is the year 1452. The project that consumes Gutenberg, Faust, and Schoeffer now is the most ambitious one imaginable, to print the entire Holy Bible in Latin. It is a monumental undertaking, a work of the books that will require millions of pieces of type and thousands of sheets of paper. But before they can commit to such a massive project, they must know, with certainty, that every component of their invention works in perfect harmony. The day of the first major test dawns cool and clear over the city of minds. The morning sun casts long shadows across the workshop floor, illuminating the great oak press that stands waiting, like a patient Titan. There is a different quality to the air this morning, not the usual bustling symphony of creation, but a hushed, reverent silence. A small group has gathered. Gutenberg, his face a mask of calm concentration, Johannes Faust, the financier, his usual stern expression softened by a look of nervous expectation, and Peter Schoeffer, the young calligrapher, his artist's hands clasped tightly before him. A few trusted apprentices stand by, their eyes wide with a mixture of awe and anxiety. They are not attempting to print a full book today. The test is for a single page, but it is the most important page that will ever have been created in this workshop. It is a page from the Bible, chosen for its complexity and beauty. For weeks, the compositors have been at work, standing before the tall wooden cases that hold the myriad pieces of type. With nimble fingers, they have picked out the tiny metal letters one by one, arranging them in lines on a small tray called a composing stick. It is like reverse writing, each word a mirror image of how it will appear on the page. Once the lines are set, they are locked tightly into a heavy iron frame, called a form. The form now holds the entire page, a solid block of metal and words. Gutenberg himself inspects the form, his experienced fingers lightly tracing the surface of the type. Every letter must be perfectly aligned, the pressure of the frame perfectly even. A single loose character could ruin the entire impression. He gives a slow, deliberate nod. It is ready. Two apprentices carefully lift the heavy form and place it onto a smooth, flat bed of a press. The metal gleams in the morning light, a mosaic of reversed letters holding a sacred promise. Now, for the ink. Another apprentice comes forward, holding two leather-covered pads with wooden handles, known as ink balls. He has been working the thick, oil-based ink on a stone slab, getting it to the perfect consistency He now dabs the ink balls into the sticky, black substance and begins to rhythmically beat them across the surface of the type. The sound is soft, yet distinct, a gentle, rhythmic tap-tap-tap that is the heartbeat of this moment. He works carefully, ensuring every single raised surface of the metal letters is evenly coated with a thin, glistening layer of the dark ink. Gutenberg watches, his gaze missing nothing. When he is satisfied, he signals again. An apprentice gently takes a sheet of high quality, handmade paper, its surface slightly damp to better absorb the ink, and carefully lays it over the inked type. Another apprentice swings a hinged frame, called a frisket, over the paper to hold it in place and keep the margins clean. The whole assembly, the bed, the form, the paper, is then smoothly slid into position directly beneath the massive platen. The air in the room feels thick with suspense. Years of work, thousands of guilders, the very reputation of every man in the room, all hang on the next few seconds. Gutenberg steps forward and takes hold of the press bar, the long wooden handle that controls the great screw. His knuckles are wide, but his movement is steady, practiced. He pulls the bar towards him. The great screw turns, slowly, majestically. With irresistible and perfectly even force, it drives the platen down onto the paper. There is a deep, resonant groan from the oak beams of the press as they take the strain. It is the sound of the machine breathing, of it exerting its immense power for the very first time. The pressure is held for just a moment, forcing the ink from the metal type deep into the fibers of the damp paper. Then, just as slowly, Gutenberg pushes the bar back. The great screw reverses, and the platen lifts away. The room is utterly silent, with movements that feel almost ceremonial. The bed is slid back out from under the platen. The frisket is lifted away. And then, with the utmost care, Peter Schuffer reaches down and peels a sheet of paper from the type. He holds it up. For a moment, no one breathes. The page is held aloft in the shaft of sunlight, and the words on it are miraculously, breathtakingly perfect. The ink is a deep, solid black against the creamy white of the paper. Each letter is sharp, crisp, and beautifully formed. The lines are perfectly straight, the spacing exquisitely balanced. It is not an approximation of a scribe's work, it is a new form of perfection, a beauty born of precision and mechanics. It is the elegance of Schuffer's design combined with the unyielding certainty of Gutenberg's machine. A quiet, collective gasp ripples through the small group. Faust, the pragmatic moneylender, lets a slow smile spread across his face, a look of profound relief and dawning triumph. The apprentices stare, their faces filled with wonder, as if they have just witnessed a magic trick. But all eyes are on Johannes Gutenberg. He takes the page from Schuffer's hands, his rough, calloused fingers holding it as if it were the most precious object on earth. He is not smiling. His expression is one of deep, solemn fulfillment. A single tear traces a path through the grime on his cheek and falls onto the stone floor. He has seen it. The dream that began with a monk's sigh in a quiet library, the vision that sustained him through years of lonely work and public ridicule. is now real. It is here, in his hands, tangible and true. It is a perfect copy. He has done more than build a machine. He has found a way to give permanence and authority to the printed word. He has captured lightning in a bottle. In that quiet workshop in Mainz, on a day that the rest of the world did not notice, the silent gears of a new age had just begun to turn. The first breath had been taken, and the world would never, ever be the same. Now, my friend, let the quiet joy of that triumphant moment dissolve into a gentle, flowing current. Let us drift forward from that single, perfect page and witness the dawn of the new era it heralded. The successful test was not an end, but a beginning. It was the confirmation Gutenberg needed to embark on his life's great work. With the financial backing of Johann Fust now secure, the workshop and the Humbrechthof began the colossal task of printing the 42-line Bible. It was a project of unprecedented scale, a testament to Gutenberg's unwavering ambition. For the next 3 years, from 1452 to 1455, the workshop was a hive of constant, dedicated activity. At its peak, as many as 6 compositors worked simultaneously, setting the type for different pages, while the great press was in near constant operation. Imagine the scene, day after day, the rhythmic groan of the press screw turning, the soft beat of the ink balls on metal, the rustle of paper. It was a slow, deliberate marathon. They produced around 180 copies of the Bible, a staggering number in a world where a single copy was a lifetime's work for a scribe. Some were printed on fine paper, others on vellum, parchment made from calfskin, for wealthier patrons. When the Bibles finally came off the press, they were not entirely finished. Gutenberg left spaces for skilled artisans to add the vibrant, hand-painted initial letters and decorative borders, just as they would in a traditional manuscript. His goal was not to create something cold and mechanical, but to produce a book that was both perfectly uniform and exquisitely beautiful, a masterpiece of technology and art. And they were masterpieces. The Gutenberg Bibles were acclaimed for their high aesthetic and technical quality. But this great achievement came at a devastating personal cost. The project was more expensive and took longer than anticipated. Before the Bibles could be sold and the profits realized, Johann Fust, the financier, grew impatient and demanded his money back. In 1455, the same year the Bible was completed, Fust sued Gutenberg. The court ruled in Fust's favor, and Gutenberg lost everything. The workshop, the presses, the unique type, and even the completed Bibles were all turned over to Johann Fust, who continued the printing business with the skilled Peter Schoeffer as his new partner. Johannes Gutenberg, the man who had poured his life, his fortune, and his soul into the invention, was left nearly destitute, a man overshadowed by the very revolution he had started. But you cannot put an idea back into a box once it has been released. The seeds of change had been planted, and they began to grow with astonishing speed. The printers trained in Gutenberg's workshop and later driven from Mainz by political conflict became missionaries of a new kind. They spread across Germany, then to Italy, France, Spain, and England, taking the secrets of the black art of printing with them. Within just a few decades, printing presses were operating in over 200 cities across Europe. By the year 1500, they had already produced more than 20 million books. The world was changing. The cost of books plummeted, making them accessible not just to the elite, but to a growing middle class of merchants, artisans, and scholars. Literacy rates began to rise, as for the first time, there was a real and affordable incentive for common people to learn to read. The quiet revolution that began in Gutenberg's workshop became a tidal wave of transformation. It fueled the Renaissance by making the rediscovered classical texts of Greece and Rome widely available. It powered the Protestant Reformation. Martin Luther's 95 Theses were printed and distributed across Germany with a speed that would have been impossible just a few decades earlier, challenging the authority of the Church and placing the scriptures directly into the hands of the people. The spread of new ideas in science, philosophy, and politics accelerated beyond anyone's imagination. A new consciousness began to dawn across Europe, one built on shared knowledge and public discourse. All of this, from a quiet man's obsession with a single, flawed word in a monastery library. Now, let us return one last time to our dreamer, to Johannes Gutenberg. The years have passed. He is an old man now, living his final days back in his hometown of Mainz. He never achieved great wealth from his invention, but in 1465 he was given a measure of recognition by the Archbishop of Mainz, who granted him a pension and the title of a gentleman of the court, an honor that provided for his needs. Imagine him, walking slowly through the market square, his eyesight perhaps beginning to fail him in his final months. He passes a bookseller's stall, something that did not exist in his youth. And there, he sees a young boy, the son of a merchant, holding a small printed book in his hands. The boy is not a noble or a cleric, yet he is reading, his lips moving silently as he follows the words across the page. The book is not a grand Bible, but a simple collection of fables, printed on cheap paper, its type clean and clear. Gutenberg stops, leaning on his cane. He watches the boy, a sight that is at once so simple and so profoundly revolutionary. He thinks back to the dark, silent library of his youth, to the elderly monk, Brother Paulus, and his lament over a single, perfect word. He remembers the smoky nights in his workshop, the heft of the metal type in his hand, the groan of the great press and as it took its first breath. He had set out to create a perfect copy, and in doing so, he had unlocked something far greater, the boundless human desire to learn, to share, and to connect. The legacy was not a machine of wood and iron. It was this quiet moment, this boy reading a book. A gentle, peaceful smile touches the old inventor's lips. The dream was complete. The knowledge was flowing like a river, and he could rest, knowing that its currents would carry humanity to shores he could never have imagined. Johannes Gutenberg died in 1468 and was buried in a church in Mainz, but his soul, his true legacy, lived on in every printed page, in every open book, in every mind set free. And now, as our story comes to a close, It is time for you to drift into your own deep and peaceful sleep. Like Gutenberg, who nurtured a simple spark into a world-changing reality, your own mind holds the power of creation. Your dreams tonight are your workshop, a place where you can build, discover, and renew. Let the rhythm of your breathing be the gentle press, clearing away the thoughts of the day, leaving only a clean, blank page for the night. May your rest be profound, your sleep deep and unbroken, and may you awaken in the morning feeling restored, refreshed, and ready to print a new and beautiful day. Sleep well, dear friend. Sleep well.